to the Leaders of Tomorrow, the only show on Indian television where you, the MSME, get center stage. This is ET-Now's special daily initiative to give MSMEs and entrepreneurs the opportunity to be front and center on every industry and area that matters to you. Tonight, we're bringing you a special pre-budget panel on the power and electricity space. And I have some of the biggest names with me tonight to run us through some of the expectations for the budget. Let me start by introducing Vijay Karya. He's the chairman and MD of the Ravan Group. We also have Shri Gopal Kabra, President of the Indian Electrical and Electronics Manufacturers Association. He is also the MD of RR Cable. We also have tonight Vimal Kejriwal, MD of KEC International, and Gajanan Nabar, CEO of CleanMax Solar. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us here tonight to talk about really some of the changes that we're seeing and some of the changes we'd like to see as far as the power and the electricity space is concerned in India. I want to start with you, Mr. Karya. We've heard a lot of commentary. This space has been in the news for a really long time. The government's mission of electricity for all by 2018, of course, that's a stated mission. But we've also heard commentary coming out of Davos. My question to you tonight, what do we need to do to ensure that we are able to achieve those targets? What as an industry do you need to do to ensure that those opportunities that exist are met?
The first thing that I would like to do is have the government couple up with the industry and work as partners and build up on three pillars. The first pillar is technologies, what the government is planning, what the industry can deliver, and what is expected of the country in general. So technologies is the first pillar. The second pillar for the industry, which is very important, is sustainable demand and how we can have this demand projected over a long-term period so that industry can really build capacities based on the latest of technologies. And the third pillar for me would be policy, because that is very, very important, and a sustainable long-term policy which links both technology and demand together, giving a boost to the competitiveness of the industry and giving a real impetus to the local manufacturing, as the government is talking about Make in India, Digital India, Skill India, and that is now the need of the hour.
Okay, I'm also trying to understand specifically for companies what the opportunity is, and one such company that we have with us tonight, of course, CleanMax Solar. Gajanan, my question to you is, what role renewable energy in a country like India should be playing to be able to achieve the targets? Reports suggest that nearly 4 crore families out of 25 crore families still don't have access to electricity. So clearly your industry can play a much bigger role.
So what we need to do is obviously build an ecosystem which is globally competitive. And I think government can do a lot. Obviously industry can do its part as well. And you know, since you asked me what are the expectations, I would very summarily put the consistency and congruency in the policy making. Consistency, when I say consistency, the strategy and tactics of overall how you reach the vision, and congruency is between various governmental agencies. If these two things work along with the, as Vijay said, along with the industry, I think we can definitely meet the milestones what we have set ourselves.
Okay, so speaking of competitiveness, one thing that we definitely have going for us is our exports, and I want to come to both of you gentlemen, Vimal, Mr. Kabra. If you can help us understand, we reports suggest have seen an increasing export base, but we're still competing against countries like China and other countries. How do we ensure that we're able to hold on to that competitive edge? We're able to see also positive policy that helps us retain our competitive edge.
We are seeing 3 or 4 major issues which is sort of putting or reducing our competitiveness. One is clearly the interest costs. Even for the best of the companies, we are still borrowing at 7 to 8%, whereas the competitors are at 1% and 2%. So 6% difference is a very big number. The second piece for us is the infrastructure for exports. Even today, when I'm exporting from my Jaipur factory, by the time it is on board in the ship, it's almost 30 days. And plus maybe a $40 or $45 cost on that top of it. So to me, that's the second piece of it. Third piece is, while we appreciate the Make in India and the government's resolve on trying to sort out steel industry and other industries, but the MIPs and the anti-dumping and all that is clearly making us very, very uncompetitive in the market when you compare with China or Turkey and all that.
Sure.
Yeah, regarding exports, government need to more focus is required. See, previously when India started exports, like China did, there was a lot of incentive there. We don't ask any incentive much more, but then at least if they give you the benefit of income tax in exports, so this will help us to be more competitive. As far as interest cost is there, in few like for a company like us, now government is giving a lot of incentive for exports, interest is there. But then other things like infrastructure cost is very high. And India need to create a brand for India.
Okay, one thing that I'm hearing from the side of the panel, of course, is interest cost. Let me open this up now to the panel to talk about what's really happening as far as interest cost is concerned. This industry has seen some of the most commentary when it comes to the government in terms of policies. The government, of course, is trying to clear up, the books of discoms to ensure that the long-term viability of this industry, of this sector, of course, is maintained. Well, how much of a concern is that? Do you, for example, have you had conversations with the government to see what is really the way forward when it comes to interest rates for infrastructure for this industry?
I have had various conversations with the government, and I have suggested that for building the Make in India, the government highly subsidizes the interest that is the rates at which they are lending out to the industry. So I gave a very quick back of the hand calculation and showed that for an interest subsidy of 3,000 crore rupees per year on a loan of about 60,000 crore rupees, the government would earn a net of about 15,000 crore rupees by way of taxes and revenues, excluding income tax. And the government has got a big case for subsidizing interests for the manufacturing segment and making us more competitive in terms of both local manufacture as well as exports.
Fair enough. The Leaders of Tomorrow speaks with MSMEs and entrepreneurs, and at this point I want you to talk to our viewers about what perhaps are the opportunities that are available for entrepreneurs who are looking at this space. We have said yes, there are challenges, yes, interest rates are high, logistics costs are high, government doesn't have a consistent policy, but there are definitely opportunities and there's a huge market to be served. What are the specific opportunities?
Opportunity in terms of today, the biggest opportunity, the government is electricity for all and housing for all. In these two sectors, if you look at it, there is a huge opportunity in terms of electric industries and other industries. And we are seeing a good growth. At present, we feel little slow. But if you look into the future, like affordable housing, they are going to the next 3 years. We calculate there will be twice the size of the real estate what is today. So if that happens really, this will help us the economy to grow and the other business will get an advantage of this. And the smart city is another big achievement. People feel that smart city work is not going on, but it's we need to understand that smart city, there are a lot of agencies available, central government, state government, local municipality, there are 3. And combination of 3, they started, and I think so, smart city work is started. This is going to be the biggest game changer in terms of new opportunity and business.
Okay.
To me, I'll answer in a slightly different manner because you talked about young entrepreneurs and all that. So digitalization, for example, because today if you look at, I'll say our processes or the way we are executing projects on ground are still antiquated. We are still not using digitalization methods and all that. We just started using drones for stringing. Now, you could have young entrepreneurs coming back with technologies and all that. And we were talking about costs or interest costs, etc. How do I reduce my production cycle? Can I use IoTs? Can I, so to me, for young entrepreneurs, apart from what Karnaji was talking about traditional ways, a lot of other things which they can come by which my, entire cost of production, the cycles can be reduced, the safeties can be increased. I think one of the issues which we still face is safety at workplace, whether it's a hotel fire, whether it's a death or, an accident and all that. So to me, AR, VR, these technologies, etc., can be very easily used to improve the safety at workplace, other places. I think that's where the young entrepreneurs can come in, and they're smart and savvy on, all these pieces. Okay. To me, that's where I'm looking at.
Would you agree that these are some of the things that we need to see? We're talking digital, but how do you ensure that you're applying it to your industry?
Yeah, I entirely agree. The point is that this government got elected on basis of aspirations of the youth. And there were many promises made that, a lot of antiquated laws, archaic laws will be dismantled. The ease of business, doing business would be over everything else. Now government has been attempting to do this, but I think a lot more needs to be done. And the youth today is impatient. The youth does not want to wait. But taking a step backwards, I would say that I'm very excited about the future and the next decade or so. I've never been so excited in my life because if you look at India and its lack of infrastructure, that is a difficulty. But on the other side, since we do not have infrastructure and therefore do not have to dismantle infrastructure, that is a huge opportunity.
Sure.
And if we are talking about opportunities, then there is a lot of things happening in our field, which is the electricity field. The word energy is getting replaced by the word electricity.
Okay.
And everything is focal. So like an industry, for example, the automobile industry, which was a standalone industry, and at the most it was linked to the oil and gas sector, today is linked to the electricity sector, because unless and until you do not have the charging infrastructure, you will not be able to get electric vehicles into place by 2030 as the government is looking to do. These are huge opportunities for the youngsters. These are huge opportunities for creation of jobs.
I want to talk about innovation. We talk all the time about innovation on the Leaders of Tomorrow, but the one thing, we are seeing innovation in the electricity and the power space, but they seem to be restricted to really small pockets. My question to you gentlemen is, how do industry bodies like yourself, for instance, how does government policy, how do interest rates, finances, how does that ensure that these innovations can be made more broad-based? And I think that clearly is the need of the hour.
Innovation for this government is quite active and people are there to invest. See, fortunately in today's time in our country, investment is not a problem because people are looking towards India and India got the talent. So in terms of innovation, I think so finance is not a problem. You should have a right product or you should have a right technology to explore. Now next is that how can we really market scaling up? See, India is lacking, we have good innovation in each and every field. But our biggest problem is that we are unable to do scaling, number one. And number two, as an Indian company, we don't have a global vision. See, these two things are a missing part of as an Indian businessman. One is scaling up and second is globalization. If these two we think in the right way, I think so we don't have any problem.
Electric vehicles that you were talking about earlier, and I want to tie the two together, is an industry again that's seen a lot of policy back and forth. The government has the big electric vehicle mission that you were mentioning, but a lot of slips between the cup and the lip, while the private companies on their part, Tata Motors, M&M, etc., are saying that we have the electric vehicles ready. The charging stations, the grids, for instance, haven't still been put in place. So we seem to be a little bit of a way off. How do you think that perhaps can be fixed? And I want to ask the two of you this.
So, the first thing is that if you want innovation, then you have to remove the fear of failure, because if in new products you are scared of failure, or if some products fail and you are held responsible for it, or you are made to pay for it, then it's not going to lead to a rapid innovation. The second part is that the government needs to create the ecosystem, and it needs to encourage a lot of thought processes in terms of new technologies, and therefore it needs to, as I said, it needs to be sustainable. Like for example, Andhra government, as I understand, is looking to build a 200-kilometer highway which can charge trucks on the run, on the go. So this is in itself an innovation, but it's happening isolated in pockets, and it's happening with vision of maybe a few sets of people. This vision needs to be encompassed into a much broader range.
What is going to convert it into that much broader range?
A policy encouraging innovation, a policy encouraging research and development. I would say that yes, a country like India requires compulsory spending into CSR, but please make compulsory spending into R&D and give R&D tax benefits. This is going to help the industry, and that's going to help us grow in the future.
That's a great thought. You're saying investment into R&D and not just as CSR. But my question to you is, we're hearing a lot about what the government should be doing, but a lot of startups tell us we are happy if the government doesn't get involved in our industry. That's how we are going to grow. So just how much of government intervention, government policy should your industry see to ensure that there's large-scale innovation?
I think I would take from what Vijay said, taking away the fear of failure. I think that's important anywhere in the world. It's not specific to India, it's not specific to Indian renewable industry. But more importantly, what we are looking at, and this whole question started with EV and what are the different opportunities exist. I think wherever there is a grave problem, there is a abundant opportunity, right? And I think where 1/4 of our population is either not having power or getting disrupted power, I think there's a great opportunity to service that.
All right, do hold that thought. We'll take a very quick break, but we'll continue talking about what the power and electricity industry hopes to see from the government this time around in the budget. Just stay tuned. Welcome back. You're with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight a special panel on the budget expectations from the power and electricity industry. We are talking of use of IoT, we are talking of use of digital for this industry. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the availability of people for these industries. Is enough being done either by government or by industry to ensure that we have good quality manpower that's coming out for these jobs that are required? I remember NASSCOM had come out with a survey a few years ago saying only 25% of all people coming out of colleges today have the requisite skill sets for the jobs for which they're being hired. How can that be fixed?
To me, that's a serious problem. The quality of people coming out from, let's say tier 3 or tier 4, I'll even tier 2 engineering colleges is not fit for what we would like them to, let's say hire them and put them on a job and all that. The amount of training we require to do them, but I think industry is gearing up to that. Most of the industries have set up our own training institutes and all that, where we are hiring people, training them and all that. One point on this could be the compulsory CSR spend. Maybe a part of it could be on skill building. And today, at least we are spending half of the money on skill building, running ITIs, running courses for them and all that. That's one issue where we clearly need as the industry to step into and do a skill building. Right now, getting ready-made skill is difficult.
Okay, so there's definitely a huge wish list in front of the government. As I'm winding down, let me come to the right of my panel. Let me start with you, Gajanan, and I want to talk about budget. All eyes on the budget now. The first budget after GST, possibly the last budget of this government. The next one is going to be a vote on account. What expectations do you from your industry have for the government?
Very simple. I think I said in the first time, 17-18 was a very good outlay in the budget for renewable industry, renewable sector. We want just the continuity of that. We want the consistency of that, and we want congruency on all the policies. We don't want any knee-jerk kind of reactions to various stimuli which are there in the market, because you're talking about industry which is getting built. It's a kind of a starting phase and infancy stage, and it requires a very good sound ecosystem which will sustain over time. So it will attract more talent, it will attract more investment, and it will attract more jobs.
Okay, so 2 or 3 things that you would like to see from the government in this budget which you think would be critical.
So I think one is we need to shift our focus away from budget and come to policies of the government. So I would like there to be a very strong focus on the policy supporting manufacturing and policy supporting skill developments, policy supporting growth of the industry. I come from an industry which is the electrical industry, which is the fulcrum of your GDP growth. If this industry does not grow, the GDP cannot grow. From the budget perspective, the government might maybe tax somewhere, put in some capital gains tax somewhere, or maybe allocate some more money into some sectors. I'm fine with that. But what I would like to see the government doing in this budget, and I know I'm thinking it's a big task, but I would like to see the government living up to its election promise and coming out with a radical and path-breaking budget which actually dismantles a lot of archaic laws. That means if you are talking about a boost to the MSME segment, then please bring out a separate set of laws where MSMEs are governed, so they are not ruled by the same income tax rules that are applicable for the large industries. Those people don't have that wherewithal to be able to file those kind of complex returns, etc. So I would like the government to perhaps think more out of the box for the MSMEs. I would like them to encourage entrepreneurship and therefore create a set of industry incubation centers for entrepreneurs. And this could be done by the industry without actually investing money in it. So creating these kind of incubation centers could help people grow. Like if somebody is having a manufacturing industry and he requires infrastructure around it, the government could help, other industry could help that grow.
Sure.
The third thing that I would really like to see is a simplification of export rules and regulations. I feel our licensing system is too complex. I have been taking up the matter with Commerce Ministry and with DGFT, and we need to simplify these laws, because on one side we say that we want a simplification of business, but our laws are complex. We say ease of doing business, but our ease of doing business is relating to only certain areas. It's not about ease of running the business. It's about ease of setting up of the business. So therefore I would like to have solid laws seeing how I can simplify the running of my business, how I can reduce my administration in that business, how I can reduce the number of people administering and accounting for that, and I can put more people on the research and development and more people on the growth path.
Sure. What about you?
I think I'll give it in two parts. One is specifically for the industry. Clearly what we're looking for is increased capital outlay on the capex side. I think government last year did increase the capital outlay. This year we do hope that they increase it further, especially for the power sector, and since most of our are also in the railway sector linked to the power, maybe on the railway sector. The second piece is again, how do they build the infrastructure for exports, ports, roads linking the ports, etc. To me, these are two clear things which we are looking for. If you come to general wish list, obviously we would expect that the borrowing of the government does not crowd out the private sector borrowing, so the interest rates do not go up. And then this government had made a clear promise on corporate tax rationalization, which is getting postponed over the last 2 years. Hopefully something can be done either directly or maybe through MAT or through a dividend distribution tax going away. I think this is what I would look at.
All right, Mr. Kabra, I'll let you have the last word. Two or three things that you would think is crucial for the government in this budget.
See, basically they should reduce the income tax. That's the only. See, if government wants to people become honest, please give opportunity to people to become honest by reducing income tax. That will have the surplus money in the market. See, by reducing,
and that would benefit your industry.
Benefit not our industry. It benefit each and every industry. Government going to not lose money. If they reduce their income tax, whatever surplus money will be there, they will be spending money somewhere else. So by way of GST, they will make more money. Number two, the main commodities or main raw material of industries duty should be less. There are a couple of flaws are there where raw material duties are higher and finished goods duty is less. So that need to be recovered, because India has signed a lot of FTA. Because of FTA also couple of industries are in bad shape. So the top corporates go, then they manage to get anti-dumping duty like for aluminum. But then it's required that major raw material duty should be less, and then finished goods. There should be a difference between these two. I think so that will turn around a lot of Indian industries. It will give making India a major boost, and this will help us also into exports. And for exports, if at all, they can give MES some more incentive. Fortunately, this government has given whatever incentive declared for 5 years. This is the first time in history that all the incentives are declared for 5 years. Otherwise, always to be for 1 year.
Sure.
So that's an advantage. These two things. And export need to be focused. Make in India, income tax need to be reduced for all sector, industries, personal, salary class, dividend tax. How much you pay tax?
So that is going to definitely benefit the entire industry. So that's a big wish list in front of the government. This budget, a radical budget, is what industry is expecting from the government. Thank you all very much for your time tonight and talking about what some of the things you're expecting from the budget. We're completely out of time on this show, but if you have any questions for us, you can always get in touch with us. leadersoftomorrowtimesgroup.com is our email ID. On Twitter, tweet at me personally at Sunanda_J or LOT_ET Now. You can also reach us on our Facebook page, Leaders of Tomorrow on ET Now. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.